Hey everyone, I'm back today for another review, and today's bag review is going to be on the Balenciaga City Classic bag. Now, this is an oldie but a goodie. I've had it in my collection for a good several years now. I think I purchased this in 2014 and it's now 2020, so I've had this for 6 years. So I feel like this is a really good, it's a really good length of time to say that, you know, here's my opinion of the bag. I've had obviously many chances to use it, so I'm excited to share this review with you today, so let's hop right in. So as with all my bag reviews, I like to start with why I first bought this bag with a little, I guess, chit chat story time. So the reason I bought this bag back in 2014 was because it was sort of one of those classic bags. I've always been interested in more classic styles, so this was sort of a bag that appeared on like all the classic must-have bags lists, like classic it bag lists, and so that was sort of what drew me to it. Plus I liked this very like sort of casual, carefree nature, how it just seemed like it could take everything and like it would hold a ton, and I loved that it was just so like carefree, and it was like a little bit edgy and like motorcycle chic too. And it was at a really great price point as well, so that was definitely a bonus. The main reason why I bought this though was because I wanted to use it for traveling at the time. So I was going on a trip to California with my family, and I thought that this would be a really great bag to bring as like a sort of carry-on bag and like going around like day tripping bag, just because it carries so much. So this seemed like it would be a really great bag for travel just because it was so carefree. It could carry a ton, and so I could use this as like a carry-on bag to carry all my essentials with me, to put like under the seat with me, but also it would also be a really great like day trip bag to go around and do things. So that was my main reason for buying it. I was really starting to build my collection at the time, so I didn't have much else in the collection like it. A lot of my other bags were more on the, I guess, like the dressy-ish side. So I had like my Chanel Jumbo Flap, my Chanel Walk, my Chanel Classic Flap at the time, and like my Speedy and my Neverfull, roughly those things. So this was something that was really different for my collection, and I really welcomed it at the time, and I've used it a ton since then. Let's go through some of the features. So obviously this features a top handle. The overall design is just very, very smooshy. There is a front pocket here that fits a phone. It does fit an iPhone XS size. I don't think it'll fit like a Plus, that'll be too big, but it definitely comfortably fits like the regular sort of iPhone size, and it does zip up, so that is definitely a nice plus. Mine is the classic style. It also comes in a giant hardware style. I opted for the classic because I just didn't like the look of the giant hardware. The giant hardware style just felt a little bit too like flashy for me. It was like a little bit too much. I wanted something that blended in more with the bag design itself. So the the classic hardware design has like more bronzed hardware, so it really fits more in with the black, and it just sort of doesn't pop as much, which I really love. But the classic style does come with these tassels everywhere. So everywhere there's a zipper. So there's 2 zippers on the top here, and they each have a tassel, and this has a tassel on the front as well. I'll be honest, I'm not crazy about the tassels. Even when I first purchased this, I just wasn't that big a fan of the tassels, but I preferred this look over the giant hardware, so that's what I went for. To be honest, I do love the style of the metallic edge. I think that just sort of combines, like, I think it elevates the look of the Balenciaga City a little bit more, but it wasn't available at the time that I was looking at this, so this is the one that I went for over the giant hardware. But otherwise, a lot of the details are similar. So you've got buckles here. Buckles are definitely a motif. You've got the braided handles here. You can see that interwoven with the leather. And then inside is kind of just a big black pit. You've got a plate back here which has the name of the bag. Since there's no obvious logos outside, it's also got the authenticity code. And this is a zip pocket here. And it does fit quite a bit. Honestly, I don't think I've ever used it, but it does go all the way down the length of the bag, so that is nice if you want to store things there for safekeeping. One thing I do really like about this bag is that it has, let's see if I can show you, 2 slip pockets here, so you can easily fit, like, I don't think your phone will fit. Let's try it with my phone. Oh, it does. Okay, so your phone does fit. I usually don't put it there. I usually end up putting it in the front, but you can put, like, I put my key clay there and like AirPods or something small you don't want to lose in sort of the big cavern or the bag, but otherwise it's just like a big, big black hole. And it also does come with a mirror that's built in, and it just looks like this. And I think the original design was to have it just hanging off the bag, but I didn't like that. It felt, I don't know, just like too much going on the front, and I didn't want to lose the mirror, so I usually end up sticking it in the back pocket here so that it's out of the way and I'm not going to lose it at the same time. But yeah, I guess the original design includes the mirror so you can check out your reflection, which is really handy I guess if you want to use it, but I personally just never used it. So when I first purchased this bag, it was around 1,200 Canadian. I don't have my receipts anymore, so I can't find it, unfortunately, since this was 6 years ago and I really should keep it, but didn't. The price that I paid was around $1,250 Canadian, which is pretty good for a designer bag. Currently, I've tried to find this online. I don't know what it is, if it's like, it doesn't seem to be available through like the Balenciaga website as much, at least when I checked, but the prices that I did see roughly hovering around when I looked for them new online right now were around $2,200. So I think that's quite a bit of a jump for a bag like this. I know that the Balenciaga City still sort of is continually popular, but it definitely does not get reflected in the resale prices. So now I'm looking at the resale market as well for this, and the prices seem to hover around $500. So it's really quite a bad, not that I want to say a bad investment per se. So that's really quite a big discrepancy that they're going new for around $2,200, but they're selling for around $500. That's less than a quarter of the retail price. So if you're looking for a Balenciaga City, I would definitely say to check the resale market first, because obviously the prices are going to be so much better than if you bought it retail. I think that the price that I bought it at was reasonable, just compared to other bags that are on the market and other bag price points, but I think that the retail price right now is quite high, and I wouldn't necessarily say that it's a good idea to buy retail unless you just really want something brand new. I definitely would check resale as much as possible. Looking at the dimensions of the bag measures roughly 35 centimeters across, roughly 20 centimeters in height, and 15 centimeters in width. Let's talk about some pros and cons. So the biggest thing that I love about this bag is that it is so carefree. You can toss this around. I've tossed this everywhere and it still looks basically new. I remember when I was first looking at this bag, there was a review by a YouTube user called Neatbit, and she still has her review up, but there's nothing else on her channel, so I'm not sure sort of what happened. I guess she's not on YouTube anymore, but I loved her review. She talked about how sort of like smooshy it gets over time, and I definitely can say that I see that happening, and I love the smooshiness of it. I just love how durable it is. You can pretty much, like I said, throw it everywhere. It's great for travel. It's great for just probably as like a mom bag, because I love that it has the top handle as well, because that makes it really easy to just grab and go. The other thing that I love is that it's understated, so there are no big logos anywhere. I think at the time when I was starting to build my collection, I definitely gravitated towards logos a bit more, so I was kind of glad that I grabbed this at the time that I did, because there's no logos, it just makes it sort of easy to run around with, and you don't have to worry. Unless people know luxury, they're probably not going to know that this is a designer bag. So it makes it easy to just run around with, and that's definitely what I used it for. Times when I needed to carry a ton with me but just didn't want to have something that had logos all over or anything identifying, this just made it easy to grab and go, throw in, and not have to worry about what it looks like and being worried about showcasing too many logos. So I would often use this for when I went to, like, I guess school, and I did like language exchanges and stuff because it was a little bit more understated. I also used this when we went to like a spa date with friends and stuff. This was easy to throw in like a locker, but it could still fit like my change of clothes, my swimsuit, a water bottle, as I'll show you in a minute when I do the what fits portion of this video. But all that stuff fit in comfortably. I could throw it in a locker and not have to worry about it because, again, it's so squishy. It just squished up nicely, and I didn't have to worry about any structure loss or damage from putting it in the locker. And the last major pro I would say is that this bag is just so comfortable. So it comes with a top handle. Personally, I love top handles. I think they're so easy to use, grab and go, as I've said how many times this video, but it also has a strap that you can put on your shoulder. And to be honest, I never really used the strap. I just didn't find it that comfortable for me. Personally, I just prefer top handles or crossbodies. I find shoulder straps can sometimes fall off too easily. And actually one time I did wear this crossbody and it did work. It didn't look great, but I just needed my hands and it worked. I was able to fit it over my body and wear it as a very high crossbody. I guess it was more kind of like a belt bag at that point, but it worked. So it definitely is versatile as well. There are multiple ways to wear it. One of the cons for this bag, I would say, would be resale value. If you're a person that looks for resale value when you purchase a bag, not necessarily because you want to sell it right away or sell it in a year, but just to see if you can recoup that value from the bag if you do decide to sell it down the line. This is not a good bag for that. Just proof in the pudding, I purchased this for around $1,200, and now it's only worth about $500 to $600. Retail value for this currently is $2,200, so if you were to purchase it new now in retail and then decide you wanted to sell it next year, you would be able to recoup probably only about a quarter of what you paid for it, which is quite ridiculous for designer bags these days. I feel like a lot of things retail for a lot more, so that's quite disappointing. The other thing that I would find as a little bit of con is, although I do think this bag is really durable overall, I do find that it is a little bit prone to wear. So something I've seen people mention in other reviews is that these tassels split. I haven't noticed any splitting. Mine look perfectly fine and brand new, but there are just a couple scuffs on the bag. You can probably see here, and I have a little scratch here. I don't know if it'll come up on camera. Just a little scratch here. I'm not sure if you can see that. So the leather is very soft. I want to say it's a lambskin. I'm not sure if it actually is, but although it is very durable, you're not going to scratch it super easily. It is still very soft, so it is still sort of prone to rubs and scratches. And I've also seen people mention that these braided handles here come undone and just get a little bit just a little bit sort of frayed. If you have a light colored bag, obviously these are also very prone to staining, so if you carry it in your hands a lot, then you're probably going to see a lot more darkening. Luckily mine is black, so you don't notice it as much, but I do find that there is a decent amount of wear. That being said, like, I have thrown this around quite a bit, so these wear marks are understandable, but just something to be mindful of. It will smoosh over time, so it's not going to look exactly the same. Like if you look at a floor model right now of a Balenciaga City Bag, it's probably going to be a little bit more perky, I guess. And that's the design of the bag, to smoosh over time, and just get like really beautiful and casual. But if you're not a fan of that, then you may find that annoying. I do also find that the hardware rivets here are starting to wear a little bit, so I don't know if you can see it there, but maybe this is the best example. You can see there's sort of a ring around the circle here, just where it rubs against things most often. It starts to come off a little bit, and again, it just adds sort of to the look of the bag. I think that's the whole appeal of the Balenciaga City in the first place, is to look a little grungy, and to look a little bit like worn, to look good worn, but just something to keep in mind if you're considering this bag. So I do find also in terms of wear that this has started to develop a little bit of a patina. I think I noticed this originally when looking at pictures of Balenciagas on like Purse Forum and such. There would be a little bit of a sheen to them, and which they develop over time. And mine definitely has that. I don't know if you can catch it on camera, but it is a little bit like purpley. So this used to be pure black, but there is just a little bit of purple when you sort of catch it in the light, which I quite like. I think it gives like a nice sort of patina to the leather, and it looks a little prettier. It's kind of like an oyster mother of pearl sort of thing. There, I think you can see it there. So I think that's really cool, but if you want your bag to sort of stay the same color, I don't think it will. I think it just does naturally change over time. There are lots of people that dye their Balenciagas. I've seen people do that quite a bit just to get them back to the original color, but I quite like this, so I wouldn't bother with that. But again, just something to be mindful of. I just wanted to include this in the review because it's something that I've noticed as I've used this over time. So let's take a look at what fits. So this section could take a while because this bag does fit a ton. So I'm going to start with my daily essentials that are standard in all of my bag reviews. So first we're going to go with the Louis Vuitton Pochette Accessoire. This is the mini size. It definitely fits because this is a huge black hole. Next would be a pack of tissues. These are just Tempo Petites. That goes in. Next would be my Chanel O-Zip wallet or coin purse, I think it's called, and that I usually just shove it in as well inside the black hole. It does make it a little bit hard to find sometimes, especially since my wallet is black as well, but I'm okay with it. My Ray-Ban folding Wayfarers with the case. Those fit. My AirPods with just a case on them. I'm going to put this in one of these slip pockets here just so I don't lose them and they're easy to find. I'm also going to put my LV key clay in the other slip pocket here. Easy to access. Then I'm going to take my iPhone XS and put it in the front pocket here. You can zip it up. I find I usually don't because it stays in without me having to close it. In general, I just never close this bag because it's a little bit of a pain to get into. Probably I should have mentioned this in my cons. It's a little bit of a pain to open and close the bag with the zips, so that's like I have to do it with two hands. I can't do it with one hand, so that's a little bit annoying. And then the tassel, the zipper just sticks out here. But you definitely cannot open and close the big compartment with one hand, so I usually just leave it open like this and I find everything stays inside comfortably and doesn't fall out. So since all my essentials fit in clearly, let's add in a few more things. So this is my Swell, I think it's called the Swell commuter bottle, and it just has a wider mouth at the top. It's easier. I like to drink hot water or warm water, so this just makes it easy to refill rather than trying to burn myself or accidentally burning myself with the regular size. So that fits in. I'm also going to bring a Louis Vuitton agenda with me. This is the PM size. That also fits. So as you can see, that's everything in there. This is my water bottle that is taking up the most space right now, but I definitely could still fit a change of clothes in there if I wanted to. In fact, let me pick up the shirt that I have sitting next to me. So shirt, tucking in, and it does fit, and it doesn't even poke at the top. So it definitely, like, I don't even have to close this. Everything's gonna stay inside as long as I don't fling the bag around too much. But yeah, that's everything inside, and because I am struggling a little bit to hold it up right now, but that's just because there's so many things inside. Once I stick it on the crook of my arm, it will be comfortable and I won't have to worry about it. But yeah, this really does fit everything and the kitchen sink, which I love. So here are some mod shots. Here is how I most often wear it. Just on the crook of my arm. It's very, very comfortable and it's easy to access things. Like I can quickly pull out my key clay and shove that back in, pull out my agenda, shove that back in, and then just go about my business. So you can obviously hold it handheld as well, but I just personally, I just love sort of crook of the arm bags, so this is what it would look like. And as I mentioned, you do have the shoulder strap, which I don't use that frequently. If I do use the shoulder strap, I like to zip it up. I'm not going to for this example, but if I do use it, then I like to zip it up. I just feel it is a little bit safer, and because you can now use two hands to zip up and close it, it does make it easier. Whereas if you're holding it on the crook of your arm, it's extremely difficult to close with one hand. In fact, I don't think it's possible, so I just never do that. But here's what it looks like on the shoulder. And lastly, because I said it could be worn crossbody if you absolutely wanted to, here's how it would look crossbody. Obviously, I don't think this is the most stylish, but it makes it easy to access things, and if you really need your hands, it's nice to know that there is that much give in the crossbody that you can wear it. I think it's really because this is just so smooshy and it molds to your body really well. It makes it easy to wear crossbody like this, but this is what it looks like crossbody. It's like a really big belt bag. And even if I do wear a crossbody, it's still easy to access things. So now to talk about my verdict. I think that the Balenciaga Classic City Bag is a really great bag for your collection. I honestly think that it's an awesome addition to your collection. It's so casual and durable. That being said, I don't know if I've just used it too much over the years or what. I think honestly my style kind of has changed. I really do love sort of the motorcycle chicness of this, but I do find that I think my style is a little bit more minimalist, and all the sort of the tassels and the hardware and the details just are a little bit too overwhelming for me these days. And I find that although I still use this bag a lot, I don't enjoy using it. I kind of just use it because it's the only one that's there that fits the purpose of being a bag that's under the radar, that carries a ton of things, and that just sort of looks chic at the same time. And I do think it still looks chic. I just think it's like my personal style has changed, and I'm just not as excited about this bag as I used to be. So I am looking at selling it, and unfortunately, like I mentioned, the resale value is really not great for this bag, so I'm really not getting anywhere close to what I paid for it, despite the fact that the retail price has gone up so significantly. Like basically it's doubled in price. So I don't know, as much as I love this bag, it falls into the category of bags of mine that if I had all the money in the world to keep all the bags that I wanted, this would be one of them. But I don't find I use it that often. I really use it occasionally, maybe a couple times a year, when I have a bag that I want to be understated and just I can throw everything in. But since now I've started to get into Hermes and increase my Hermes collection, I found that those bags sort of fill that purpose. They're not quite as rough and tumble as this. Like this I can throw anywhere and I don't have to worry about. My Hermes I'm a little bit more precious about, but they more or less fit that purpose, and having this bag in my collection is just sort of one more thing that sits there and doesn't get used as much as it should. I still think that this is a great option, and in fact I would recommend it for people, even though it's sort of past its heyday. I think that bags, like big bags, are sort of coming back because we've been into mini bags for so long, and I think like with especially pandemic supplies that we need to bring with us, bigger bags are just sort of maybe becoming more of the norm and becoming more of the trend now. So I don't know that this will enjoy the same popularity that it did back in like the early 2000s when it was like hung on the arms of like Paris Hilton and Nicole Richie, but I still think this is a great option if you want something that's just casual and understated and ready to go, and like you can wear it multiple ways. I think this just is a great bag for that. So I'm not gonna say don't buy this bag. I'm just gonna say think about whether it fits your style. Yeah. So thank you so much for watching, guys. I hope you enjoyed this review and found it helpful. As always, I'd love to hear what you think about the Balenciaga Classic City. Do you have one? Do you want one? And what are your thoughts? Let me know in the comments down below. And if there's any other content that you want to see from me, please also let me know in the comments. Thank you so much for watching, guys. Bye. Have a great one.